I'm Jacqueline Johnson.
And I'm Marina Middleton.
And this is Work Party, a podcast that's part work and part party. Work Party celebrates a new generation of women who are redefining the meaning of work on their own terms and having fun while doing it.
In this podcast, we are diving into all the areas of being a working woman: mind, body, and business. No topic is off limit.
Real talk and hot takes. Think of us as your internet work wives. This is Work Party,
the podcast.
Wait, where's the champagne?
Today, we're excited to sit down with Suneera Madhani, a powerhouse entrepreneur and the brilliant mind behind Worth AI and Stax Payments. Under her leadership, Stax achieved unicorn status with a valuation exceeding $1 billion with a B dollars, processing over $23 billion in payments for more than 22,000 businesses nationwide. Now, with Worth AI, she's tackling the world of AI-driven financial insights, empowering businesses to make smarter decisions. Suneera's journey is one of resilience, leadership, and innovation. She's built and scaled teams from the ground up, navigating the challenges of high-growth startups while fostering a company culture that is super strong. In the episode, we'll dive into her leadership philosophy, her approach to building high-performing teams, and how she balances innovation and team management. Welcome, Suneera.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. I feel like we've had a million pass-throughs of how we're going to make it happen. I'm so pumped. Thank you so much for both of you for having me. It's so exciting.
Of course. Well, let's start with Stax because obviously you're on to your next venture, but Stax was a massive moment for you. Tell us about building that company and then exiting that company.
Yeah, so much. I mean, how to pack it in 5 minutes. I started the company at the age of 25. I was working in the financial services sector. I was working for a payments company. And I had this idea to launch a subscription-based product for small businesses. I saw the subscription boom was happening, and I learned about the credit card processing industry. And I'm like, this needs to be better. There has to be a simpler way. Everyone's taking all these cuts by the time it gets to the small business. Important side note, if you know who I am or if you follow me, my family is everything. I have immigrant parents. Small business is our life. My parents immigrated here in entrepreneurship. I've been around my entire life, but it was out of necessity. And for small businesses, these fees are enormous for payments, even for us, even for large businesses. It's 3.5% of our bottom line. And so I learned about different ways that we could, kind of take out the middlemen. I pitched this idea to my bosses and it was rejected. So it's a classic female founder, had the vision, and then, nobody was excited about it. And I decided there's a bunch of stuff that happened in between, but long story short, I quit my job. I started this company and I found Mr. Visa, I created a payments company with my brother. And that's a fun story too. But we built a company from just us. So we're going to talk about teams today and scaling to over 400 employees, 40 billion in payments when we exited, 40,000 businesses onboarded. It was a huge journey. I raised venture capital from seed round to series A, B, C, D. I sold to private equity. So I've had the exit. I acquired 3 companies while I was CEO. And it was a big 10-year journey. So it was a decade long. Super exciting, so much learning. Every day I showed up for a job that was harder than the one I had yesterday, but I was super determined to be the one to lead it as CEO. I didn't want to give it up, and I really wanted to see this company through exit. And in tech, this unicorn valuation and just the big billion was this huge milestone and huge exit. We took the company to 100 million, then 250 million. And we're okay, what is it going to take for us to get to that? So I was okay, I'm on board until we get to $1 billion and then I'll be out. And that's exactly what we did. And so we sold in 2021 and we are still huge shareholders of the business, but I ended up leaving and I thought I was going to retire. And because it's exhausting. And teams are honestly the hardest part of building. So I'm excited to dive into it. But something that I didn't get to mention in that bio is I'm a mom of 2. And so I had my first baby, which was the company, and then my 2 babies came after. And it was so difficult just doing all the things, but we did it and we balanced and integrated and did all of the buzzwords and made it happen. And I thought I was going to retire and just be home with my kids and focus on supporting women entrepreneurs and taking advisory roles, which I did that for 6 months. I did drop-offs, pickups, and I loved them to death. And I was okay, now we got to start the next business. And 6 months later, we launched Worth, which I'm excited to tell you guys about here shortly.
Yeah, I'm so curious. What is different in your approach with Worth than with Stax? Because obviously you've changed, you've learned so much, you've had a masterclass in business. How are you approaching this one differently?
So different. I feel like anything you do for the second time or even just last year, like I feel like we grow so much.
So much. Totally.
So much. So I had 10 years of experience, which every year I feel like I got better, right? You look back at your old self and I have this saying and I'm like, I embrace the cringe. I look back and I'm like, oh my God, in everything, every single thing. And it's great. That means we've grown. And so this time around, I feel like the biggest change is confidence. Like I exited a $1 billion company. I didn't know I could go build $1 million business, let alone $1 billion one the first time around. I doubted myself constantly. I was always second guessing myself. I was second guessing even things I knew right. I was slow to fire. I was, there's so many things that I look back and I'm like, man, I should have trusted this. I should have gone faster. So this time around, there are things that not everything is different. What's the same is our fundamentals. The same are our values, our core founding team, like our people, how we built the speed is really important and culture is really important and building the right way is important. So those fundamental things are the same. But man, access to capital is a lot easier. Picking up phone calls, like I call the CEO of Equifax and we're like, here, let's do a strategic partnership. Boom, done.
Yeah.
The board advisors of Plaid are like, I could be like, boom, here, Square, Stripe. Like everything is so much easier to go build because it took me a decade of building those connections and now I have credibility.
Yep.
First time around, I didn't have credibility. And as a woman, you're constantly discredited anyway.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like I have a little bit more gravitas and I can go, and I'm confident more in myself and I want to do things differently. I want to do things differently. I want women on my cap table. That's a conversation, Jacqueline, you and I have had. I had barely any women on my cap table last time around. I made hundreds of millions of dollars for everyone. And I barely had like 3 women on my cap table.
Yeah.
And so what's really great, it's crazy that we're doing it again, but it's also really exciting because I get to take the parts that I love and I get to do it. And then the parts that I still have to do the stuff that I don't like. So I will also share like, it's just as hard. Like going from 0 to 1 is still that journey. But this time around, I'm a lot more confident in myself. I don't give a fuck. Like, I just don't care as much anymore of like what other people think or like the shiny object or the website or the logo or the part. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I know what we need to go execute, which is revenue. And I'm like, boom, here, let's go do that. And so it's fun in a different way.
I'm curious your kind of how you divide and conquer with your brother and like what roles you have and what roles he has, especially since we're going to start talking about like leadership and team building, all that stuff. Like, what do you manage? What does he manage? And how do you guys like keep family and business separate? And do you?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We fight all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we're siblings. There is like no other person that I'll fight with that we can like quickly make up as your sibling. Like there's like, we're ruthless to each other too. But it's also easy. Right. It's also easy. There's so much trust. There's so much history. We definitely divide and conquer. And so Sal is so incredible at, just operations, scale, sales. And so he always leads on that side. I lead on go to market. So for me, it's all about go to market, our messaging, our product. So I lead here. We share a lot of things as well. I think that we have this like yin and yang. And whether it's your brother that's a co-founder or if you have a business partner, having strong, like your core team needs to be able to divide and conquer. That's how you go fast. And what I find is when you're on each other's toes or you're trying to do the same thing, that's where friction happens. That's where the distrust happens. And so it is good to define what everyone's like main lanes are. And then of course we collaborate through it. But it's important to know this is where I lead and I can make decisions here and I trust like his decisions in those areas. So those are some ways that we divide and conquer and we do it all day long. Like right now he's in Vegas for FinTech Meetup. I had a panel for Inc. that I had to be at, for South by Southwest. And so he's there in Vegas, I'm here. And so it's also great to have partners because I'm sure it's the same for you too. You can divide and someone to also, it's hard. It's the loneliest thing you'll ever do. And the more successful you will become, the lonelier it gets. And having, that trust within your founding team or your core executive team or that your co-founders, it's what gets you through.
Yeah, 100%. We were just talking about it earlier, just like being business partners and kind of figuring out those lanes are so, so good. We just did a whole episode about it because I think like solopreneur is very hard. But I would say it's equally as hard to have a business partner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you have to figure out.
It's a marriage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a marriage.
Siblings, like you can't ever get out of it.
Yeah.
You can't. And you have to be even more careful, right? So definitely, I do feel like I could never work with my husband. I see a lot of like partners work together because you have to go home together. What is pretty great is that we don't have to go home like to each other, right? And so we could like we could definitely like have space. But it is good in a sense of when you talked about like a relationship, these are every single, even in teams, every employee is also a relationship. And for every relationship, like we're all humans. And so we don't bring our non-authentic, we don't leave ourselves at the door. And so even things like knowing each other's like triggers, knowing each other's love languages, knowing each other like how we communicate, what, our styles are, that trust, that takes effort, just like a relationship that you have at home or with your friends or with your spouse or with your partner. And so often I see leaders ignore that side when you're building these teams. I know every single one of my executive teams and even probably the director, everyone's love languages. That's an exercise that we do as a company because my love language is quality time. So for me, I'm quality time and I'm words of affirmation. Now, that's exactly how I am with my husband. Like I need date night. I need him to like look at me. I need the phones away. I need him to like tell me how much he loves me. Like I need those, or I'm doing a good job. Exactly the same way is what I need from my team. Even from not just from my peers in my executive team, but also from my team. Like when my team like will shout out and give me a praise, I'm like, oh my God, like it just makes me feel so seen.
Really?
Right.
Totally.
And so, but that's also the same for them. Now, someone's love language, I did a whole episode on CEO School. Maybe we can link it. It's a really fun one of love languages for your team. So Sal's love language is physical touch. Okay. Yeah. Well, but it's high fives.
Okay.
Right? Like, no, it literally
Yeah,
is.
I love
Like,
that.
he is that guy that'll come into the office. He'll come into the office and he's always like high-fiving everyone. And he's always like rah. And like, that makes sense.
Love that.
Right? And so there's like different ways that you can translate your love languages, like even in a work environment and physical they might need to be in person. So they're the people that like want to go to the office.
Yeah.
They want to see, they want to go to lunch, they want to go for a walk, right? So there's so many ways to connect with your team. And I really encourage leaders to know your team's love languages and also share how you want to be acknowledged and praised in your team as well. Everyone, like the human nature is we all want to feel seen, loved, and heard. And if we can do that, then we can build incredible, when we have that relationship and our team is happy, guess what? Magic happens in the workplace. And so that's one of the ways that we do it.
Okay, on the flip side,
Okay.
let's talk about firing.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
We're doing high fives. We're also doing low fives.
Yeah, we fire fast.
Yeah, so you said like that was one of the mistakes that you learned early on. What is fast? I think is a good thing because I think, is it 3 months? Is it a year? Is it
a
14
project?
days?
Is it like,
is it a
what
project?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I would say you know when you know right away.
Yeah.
So like you just know. You know.
It's
and then
a gut
it's a
feeling.
gut
It
feeling
sucks.
and you're like, this isn't going to work out. And I encourage you to at least give it 3 months.
Yeah.
So I will say everything, even when an employee doesn't work out, I always look at what did I do to co-create that? Yeah. Right. So am I not communicating in do they not have the resources to be successful? Is there too much on their plate? Most of the time, it is 99.999% of the time, it's a co-created situation.
Yeah.
And so we do have to also reflect on that because it does take time away that you've spent in training someone, hiring someone, and it's bad morale for your team as well.
Totally.
And you also, when I say fire fast, you want to fire strategically as well. So yes, you've identified that this person's not a fit. That's what I mean by fire fast. Now you know, gut check. And I always try to make this person successful. So then I have, I don't want to call it like a performance improvement plan because those things also suck. And once an employee knows they're on a PIP, they're already checked out. But you really do sit down and I think honest conversations need to happen to say what does success criteria look like? And you mutually agree on a plan and you give it your best to the plan. That is what I encourage like all our leaders to do is you have to show up and really, did you really put an effort in now? Right? And then they have to put in the effort. And sometimes I've actually seen it where when you actually come to the table to say, here's what I need to do to be successful or here's where there's friction, it can be solved. But if it isn't, you have that time period and then it's got to happen. And I'm a huge believer in like, especially in teams Like, if you want to be successful, you've got to have A players. Like, there is no fucking room on my team for a B player at all.
It's not good for them either. Like,
no,
it's
not the environment.
Keeping up. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not that they're not a right fit. There could be a great fit for another organization. Building tech, building what we're building, like, this is going to require long hours. We're in the office. We're in the trenches. Like, and it's not, and we have great culture, but it's a culture of winning. There's a different kind of culture. My culture for my podcast and for the Team CEO School, very different. And so it has to, because we're not trying to, our speed isn't the path, growth isn't the path. So it's flexible, it's easy, it's all like, it's just a different environment. And so your DNA of the company, it's a person. Like, treat your company and identify what is the DNA of the company. That's what that needs. Like, that's what this company needs to be fed off of, is that DNA.
I love culture of winning. I'm curious, how do you have a culture of winning without getting into a culture of burnout?
Oh my God. Yes. That's
good question. Okay. One, I think it starts with the leaders. So last time around, I also was a mom of 2, and the growth is so fast. Like, I lost myself fully in this last business. I literally didn't even know who Suneera was when I exited. I went into like crazy depression post my exit. It's supposed to be like so great. I've achieved everything, sold the business. I have financial capital. I've like all the accolades. I did this stuff. Yet I felt like, who am I? Like, I have no idea. And your identity is so tied to what you do. And I didn't have great work boundaries. I didn't, and that was also a reflection of our culture. That was the way I was a pure reflection of our culture. And that you have to recognize that. And so this time around, so then I've really got to, I'm like, who am I? So I've been like I took piano lessons, I'm taking tennis lessons. Like, I'm trying to actually like just have fun in life, and I'm having better boundaries for myself. I'm having better boundaries for work. I'm having better boundaries. And me just doing that, guess what? It creates better boundaries for our team.
I think that's so accurate. I could not relate more. And I think, but here's what I'll say. I think you had to be that way to be successful on your first go around. Like, I had to be that way. The company would not have been successful.
I agree.
And so it's funny in going into the second company, and like, this in a way feels like a second company for me in the second iteration of Create and Cultivate. The stakes are lower, as you mentioned, like for you in life and whatever, like, you obviously want the company to crush. But like, having that lower stake level gives you a calmness and approach to the business that is hard to get unless you've like done the thing. But I think that's so accurate. I think so many like second-time founders could relate to that.
I agree. But even on I just want to point out like what you said on culture, though, for like, I do think for a winning culture, there is still a grind. So I don't want to discount what that 100%. Is like. And so I do think that, but the grind can look different, and there can be like, define what that culture is. And so for me, like, some boundaries are like, you know, like, I shut off work at 12 o'clock on Friday. Like, and that can be like, that doesn't mean that everybody has to turn off their laptops, you know, at 12 on Friday, but it could look different across for your teams. Something that I had to also get comfortable with was the way that you are as a founder also doesn't have to be what's like full on for the team as well. And so that's okay to have, you know, for each their own and each team their own. I think your culture will naturally form. I think there is a less level of like micromanagement on our team, but high execution. So we just look for people that are self-starters. We're not hiring people that, like, everyone on my team, I already have a president in place. Like, we have 50 employees already in the last year. Like, it's growing so fast. But I hired a president. I hired people that are also self-starters that have experience. I'm not training up. First time around, I feel like we want to like save the world. And we're like, you can like, let you get a job and you get a job and you can be on my team and I can't let you go. No, like, go find the right person for the job that is a self-starter, that is an A player, and then they can manage their own stuff. Now, whatever it looks like for them, we're in the office Monday and Wednesday. We work from home 3 days a week. Whether they're doing laundry in between or whether I don't care. Like, whatever they need to do, the job's getting done because they are self-motivated, they're driven. We work on execution. And so the results are what we're tracking, not exactly the hours. And so you have to find the right fit people for the role. And that was something I feel like first time around, I think I was just trying to fit people into roles versus the right role for the person. Like it was the opposite.
Oh my God. I love that so much. Right
now,
now,
I'm giving
obviously,
Marina the eye.
Yeah, like I'm definitely like in that first stage of what you were talking about of like, oh, this person's great. Like I'm going to find a role for them. Or, oh, this person, and it's like.
Can I say something mean?
What?
My brother literally always says to me, he's like, you don't owe anyone anything.
Yeah. No, but that's not mean. That's so true.
It's
I know. No, but we're humans, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to make people successful and it's hard. But it is and he's so sweet. So like I don't want to paint like he's the sweetest. And he just became a new dad and it's making him even sweeter. But it is, you don't owe anyone anything. And as women, that's the part of our brain that we are such empaths. We are such nurturers. But there is a time limit.
Yeah. Totally. And I think also it's really important. Yeah,
it's still business.
Yeah. I think also like having this foundation of like it's hard work, it's execution. There is a goal, and like there are results that you have to hit. Because a lot of the questions that I'm getting on interviews, and I'm curious now that like so you have a president, you have directors. Like, what does that org kind of look like, and are people reporting directly to you? Right now, all of the questions that I'm getting on interviews is like, well, what is work-life balance for your company? And I always struggle because what work-life balance looks for me as the CEO operating the day-to-day of the business, understanding every aspect is going to be so different than like a content manager. You know what I mean? Like your work-life balance is different, but that's not to say that like, I don't know, you're not working. You know what I mean? Like there's not results that you're hitting. So I'm just curious to you, like in a world where like work-life balance is so important and so anti-hustle, like how are you hiring these like hungry people?
Okay, I could kiss both of you right now. Like it is, people will, it's so controversial.
Yeah.
It's so controversial. And this, like even the return of the office and everyone's going to hate this. Like, but to be successful or companies to be successful requires collaboration. It requires speed. Mm-hmm. But it depends. Like I said, it's the DNA of the organization. If you're growing right now, you're like create and cultivate. We want this to be the number one thing. We want this to be the best in the world. Why wouldn't you want it to be? First of all, like I don't also understand that philosophy.
If you don't have that vision, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Or no, some people, it's great to have a business that you're like, this is a passive business. This is how many hours I want to work.
Yeah,
lifestyle business is different.
Totally.
And so you can have that. It's totally achievable for you to say, I want to work 20 hours a week and I'm happy. And it's about satisfaction and where you're at. If you are not satisfied with where you're at, then you've got to put in the work to get there. Totally. Right? And then everybody has to put in the work, just like winning teams, right? Like I am a huge sports person. I'm at every sporting event, every game. I'm an NBA person. I'm an NFL person. I'm a golf person. I'm an everything person. And I actually love sports because I feel like it teaches me so much about business. Mm-hmm. And if you look at every sports franchise from a business down, if you look at every sports team, the hustle is real. Like the work that we put in to win a championship, you have to put in the work. It doesn't matter. Even when you win the championship, they're not just done. They get up and they do it again. And it starts from the players to the coaches. The mentality is a winning mentality. Now, that doesn't have to be as intense for every business. And I think that's what the difference is. You have to just identify, what are your goals? What do you want out of this? Maybe your goal, and it's really exciting. There's nothing wrong with not like it's exciting for you to know what your goals are. If you want to have $100,000 business, that is amazing. That is incredible. And I'm so excited for you. And you can go build around that. So design your culture based on that goal. If you want to have $100 million business, then you have to build your goals around that too. And so I think you have to zoom out and really ask yourself, what is it that I want? And for the longest time, the first time around, I was just building because it was just happening. I never actually zoomed out to say, what is it that I really want? I was just like in it.
It's a momentum. You're just following the momentum of business. Yeah.
And it was great and it led us to so much. But honestly, maybe I look back and I'm like, I probably would have exited at the $220 million mark or like that Series C time. Maybe I would have been happier if I'd have just like been like, peace out, done.
Right.
I probably would have had more cash in my pocket then.
Yeah.
You know, like it's also, but it wasn't even about the money. I don't know if I would have stayed on for as long as I did.
Yeah.
If I really asked myself what I want, but I was chasing this like fictitious goal or this, and we hit it, which was not fictitious. We did $140 million in SaaS revenue. That's why we got that valuation. So it wasn't like a tech value. It was because of our revenue. But I look back and I'm like everybody was shitting all over me. Like, I should do this. I should do that. I should do this. And I never had the opportunity to create space to ask myself, what is it that I want? And so this time around, I got space. I'm like, what is it that I want to build? How do I want to go build it? What's important to me this time around? And now I'm building it in that way. And so I encourage anyone who's listening, who's an entrepreneur, and you're like, here's what I want to go do. You need space as an entrepreneur to zoom out of your business. We all know that, right? We have to work on the business. We can't work in the business.
Yep.
You got to work in the business. But you need to take the time to really assess and say, what is it that I'm really building? And then you just work backwards. Then it's just a formula. It's just a playbook. To me, it's like, it's so simple. It's a series of execution, but you got to know where you're going first.
Yeah.
And we're just doing. And we're shitting all over ourselves. We need to stop shitting all over ourselves.
That's so funny.
No, honestly, this is amazing. And I feel like just even you dropping the stats of like 400 employees on the first one, you have 50 now in the first year, like you're just growing so fast. What is your big vision? Where can people find you? Like talk a little bit about some of those goals now in this new era of Suneera.
Yeah, I'm so excited about building worth. I feel just so mission-centric in this business. So Stax was a payments company. And we did payments really well. We were like the backbone for a ton of software companies, very boring tech, big tech stuff, but awesome stuff. We onboarded small businesses. We onboarded 40,000 small businesses. One of our biggest pains in our butts was this onboarding process of small business and understanding like who the customer was, what their business was like. And so for example, right now on our phone, you can pull up your phone and you can get an Apple credit card. You can walk over to the Starbucks, which I know you love.
Yep.
Get your, get your morning latte. In 5 minutes, you can get a credit card and check out and have a transaction. Now, if you do the same thing and you open up that credit card to open for Marina's LLC, it stops. We need 3 years worth of P&L. We need all of this data. There's not a process. So in financial services, on the consumer side, we evolved really quickly in tech. But as a small business, we don't have that frictionless process like we do as consumers. The gap in what's taking place and why that's happening is because there's so much data to collect about a small business. It's credit worth. They want to know who you are, what your business does. And for the first time now with generative AI, so it's an AI-driven company, we're connecting all of the dots. So we're going to go find every data point. So we created the largest database of small businesses. So we have everything from every financial pinpoint about you to your Google reviews, to every single thing. And we're feeding it back to, let's say you're applying for Capital One. Immediately, they know your credit worth. And so my vision is for small business they should own this. Right now, financial institutions own all of that. So when I was CEO at Stax, we had like human underwriters that would onboard businesses. That's how it is in everything. And as a small business, like face of entrepreneurship has changed so much.
Yeah.
And there's so much biasness. Like if a human's creating, like being like, oh, Marina, you get a loan or not, or you get your bank account or not, like that should not be in existence. Our business should stand on its own. And the only way to do that is to standardize the credit worth, which is by a credit score. So we're building the worth score. And so that's what I'm like really excited about. We're selling to enterprise first because revenue comes first. And they really like our solution really solves like all that onboarding friction for them. And I'm excited about that. But this next year, like I'm ready to be back to, I just want to give it away. Like I want every small business to know their credit worth. I want every person to open up and say, we should have access. This is what I should have access to go, I should control where I bank. I should control who gives me a loan. I should control all of that versus other people having power over that. And it's just financial data. And so it's really cool stuff. It's big tech. We've been building for about 2 years. We had a huge stealth process. I had to hire crazy smart engineers and just data scientists. And it's also intimidating, you know, but you've got to hire, like, because it's on this topic, you have to hire for what you need 3 years from now. Like you can't hire for what you need now because you're going to grow. And so you got to find the smartest people and you can't be afraid to like bring on those smart people because and you have to trust in yourself. Like, I don't need to know how to do that. I just need to make sure that they're motivated and I got to make sure that they're happy and I got to make sure that I know their love language. So I'm shouting them out on Slack. But that's your job as CEO is to like build high performing teams and then all of it works out. So I'm so excited about Worth. You can find me everywhere online, just Suneera Madhani. And everything will be linked there. You can listen to the podcast, CEO School. And because I didn't go to CEO School, I just learned it every day. And you can check out Worth.
You're such a beast. Like literally you just talking about Worth. I'm like, I love it. Sign me up. What is it? No, seriously, like you should be so proud of yourself. We are so excited to have you on Work Party. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
So fun. Thank you so much, guys.
Yay!
Thanks for listening to this episode of Work Party. If you like what you heard, follow, leave a review, rate the pod, or slide into our DMs.
Check out the different ways you can create and cultivate on our website, createcultivate.com. From retreats and masterminds to our summits and festival.
We have different experiences to support you through your entrepreneurial journey from launch
to legacy.
Follow us at Create Cultivate on all platforms, and don't forget, work hard.
Party on.
Please note that this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services. Individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in this episode.